Rain hammered the pavement like nails on steel. Outside a glowing hotel awning, a young woman stood barefoot in a soaked evening dress, mascara running, clutching a small purse like it held her whole life. She whispered 4 words to the cab driver who stopped. "Don't ask. Just drive." He didn't ask. He gave her coffee, a blanket, silence. 2 weeks later, his world changed forever. Because she wasn't just another runaway. She was the daughter of one of the most powerful men in the country, and the target of a secret no one was supposed to uncover. This is the true story of how a single father's small act of kindness turned into a fight for truth, survival, and something even bigger, hope. Before we begin, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. Cleveland never sleeps, at least not where I drive. My name's Victor Hayes. I'm 35, father of an 8-year-old daughter named Lily, and a cab driver by necessity, not by dream. Nights are long, meters slow, and the heater in my '05 Crown Vic only works if you punch the dash just right. But I believe in the long game. Always have. Life's dealt me busted hands before, but I keep betting on better days. That night, it was Thursday, one of those bone-wet Cleveland nights where the rain felt like it had a personal grudge. Streets were slick, wipers struggling, and I had maybe $30 in fares after 5 hours on the clock. I just dropped off a couple from the airport when dispatch buzzed. Zone 3. Hotel Astoria. No name. Cash only. You close? I clicked the mic. I'm on it. Hotel Astoria wasn't my usual run. Too fancy. Folks there call limos or their drivers. But a cash fare's a cash fare, and Lily's inhaler refill wasn't going to pay itself. I pulled up under the awning and saw her. Barefoot. Evening dress, soaked clean through. Blonde hair sticking to her cheeks. She looked like a movie star in a disaster film. Only this wasn't staged. She opened the back door without a word and slid in, shivering. "Where to?" I asked. Her eyes met mine in the rear view. Blue, clear, and fierce. "Don't ask questions. Just drive." Now, I ain't a fool, but I'm also not the kind to leave a girl like that standing in the rain. I hit the gas. She didn't speak for blocks. Just stared out the window, arms wrapped around herself. I turned up the heat and offered her a blanket I kept in the back for Lily. She hesitated, then pulled it over her shoulders. We rolled through the warehouse district, then past Ninth. I kept waiting for her to give me a destination, but she didn't. "You got a place you're trying to get to, or are we just burning gas?" I asked gently. She exhaled. "Greyhound Station, off St. Clair." Bit of a fall from Astoria, I said before I could stop myself. Her lip twitched. Almost a smile. "You think?" I shrugged. "Look, you don't have to tell me anything. But if you're in trouble, I've got a friend at a shelter who won't ask too many questions." She shook her head. "No shelters, just the station." I stopped at a 24-hour diner near the station. "You need food," I said. "Let me buy you a coffee at least." She hesitated, then followed me in. We sat across from each other, steam rising from mismatched mugs. I didn't pry. She didn't volunteer. But when I slid over the sugar jar, our hands brushed. She jerked back like I'd burned her. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I'm just not used to this." "What? Coffee?" She shook her head. "Kindness." That one hit deep. I didn't press. I just said, "It's free tonight." When we pulled into the Greyhound lot, she looked over, really looked. "You're the first person in a long time who hasn't tried to fix me," she whispered. "Thank you." And then she was gone. I figured that was the end of it. Just another rainy night. Another fare. I was wrong. 2 weeks passed. Nothing special. Same meter grind. Same burnt coffee in the cab's cup holder. Lily lost a front tooth and got $5 from the tooth fairy, which, in our house, is me sneaking into her room with a flashlight and whatever spare cash I can scrounge from the glove box. She was thrilled. I was broke again. Life rolled on like it always does. I'd almost forgotten the girl in the rain until the knock came. It was a Tuesday morning. I'd just come off the night shift, Lily was at school, and I was halfway through reheating yesterday's coffee when there was a knock at the apartment door. Not a neighborly knock. This one was deliberate, sharp, like a lawyer's pen hitting paper. I opened the door and blinked. A man in a tailored black suit stood there, dry despite the light drizzle outside. Balding, early 50s, wire-rimmed glasses. Looked like someone who chewed numbers for a living and flossed with red tape. "Mr. Hayes?" he asked. "Yeah." He handed me a thick envelope. Cream paper. Heavy. Fancy. You're being contacted on behalf of Miss Celia Bradford. The name hit me like a jolt of caffeine. What? The man smiled politely. Miss Bradford asked that I deliver this to you personally. I'll wait here in case you have any questions. I tore it open. Inside, a handwritten note in soft, looping cursive. Victor, you didn't ask for anything. That's why I trust you. And that's why I want to return the favor. I've set up a trust for Lily. Consider it a thank you I could never say properly. Also, there's something I'm building, something I think you might be perfect for. Details enclosed. If you're interested, come to this address on Friday at 10 a.m. Bring Lily if you'd like. No pressure. Celia. Behind it was a packet of documents. Legal. Clean. Confirming a trust had been established in Lily's name. Educational coverage. Healthcare. Even a modest housing allowance. Tax-free, renewable yearly. My hands trembled. Who is she? I asked the man. He gave the faintest smile. That's a question people have been asking for years. You her lawyer? Among other things. He paused. Miss Bradford doesn't usually trust easily. But she remembered you. That rainy night. Said you didn't try to fix her, just offered space. You'd be surprised how rare that is in her world. I stared at the papers. She doesn't owe me anything. Exactly, he said, nodding. Which is why she wanted to. I stood there, barefoot in my kitchen doorway, holding what felt like a golden ticket. Only I hadn't bought a lottery. I'd just given a stranger a ride and a warm cup of coffee. Why me? I asked. He turned to leave. She believes you're the kind of person who doesn't wait for the world to be kind before being kind yourself. Then he was gone. That Friday, Lily and I stood in front of a modern brick building with the words Horizon Outreach Center on the door. Inside, a soft-voiced woman at the front desk smiled. You must be Mr. Hayes. Miss Bradford's expecting you. We walked through sunlit halls with colorful murals on the walls. Kids laughing, kids dancing, kids building things. It wasn't a shelter. It was a sanctuary. For teens. For runaways. For kids like Lily might have become, if not for luck and love. And there she was. Celia. No evening dress this time. Jeans, a soft cream sweater, and her hair tied back. Still stunning, but grounded. Real. You came, she said. I nodded, still stunned. So you're opening this place? She smiled, that same sad glad smile from the diner. I'm not just opening it. I'm building it. And I want you to be a part of it. I didn't walk in expecting anything. Honest. Maybe some volunteering, maybe stacking boxes, maybe a handshake and goodbye. But what Celia said next knocked the wind out of me. I want to hire you, she said. Full time. I blinked. As what? She motioned around the lobby. As a community outreach coordinator. It's a real job, Victor. Salary, benefits, the whole package. I laughed before I could stop myself. You mean me? Outreach. I drive a cab. I don't even have a college degree. Celia smiled. Exactly. You've lived the life these kids are living. You know what it's like to scrape by, to be overlooked. That matters more than a diploma. Lily tugged my sleeve. Is this like when I help the younger kids with spelling? Celia knelt beside her. Yes, it's just like that. You help by listening, being there, making sure no one feels invisible. Lily beamed like she'd won a prize. I, on the other hand, was still trying to wrap my head around it. This place, I said, you built it yourself? Celia stood. Not just me. A few people I trust. A few people I used to be terrified of. I used to think the only way to survive was to disappear. But, turns out, showing up matters more. She handed me a folder. Inside, a job description, starting salary, more than I'd ever made in my life, and a modest apartment offer closer to the center. 2 bedrooms. New appliances. No mold in the corners. I don't want charity, I muttered. This isn't charity, she said. This is partnership. I don't want someone with a spotless resume. I want someone who knows what it means to listen without judgment. Someone who once held a stranger's pain with kindness. I stared at the contract. Why me? She looked at me with those sea glass eyes. Because you didn't try to save me. You just sat with me in the dark. That got me. I didn't say yes right away. I took the weekend, sat on the edge of my bed watching Lily fall asleep beside her stuffed dinosaur, and tried to imagine what a life might look like if I finally stopped surviving and started living. Monday morning, I walked back into Horizon Outreach and handed Celia the signed papers. You're sure? She asked. I smiled. I've never been more sure of anything. She nodded, then added softly, there's one more thing. I raised an eyebrow. She led me down a hallway to a small room. Inside, 3 teenagers sat slumped on mismatched couches. One girl clutched a stuffed bear with no arms. A boy stared silently at his shoes. Another fiddled with a pencil like it was a weapon. "They've been through hell," Celia said. "Trust doesn't come easy." "What do I do?" She smiled. "You say, hey, I'm Vic. Let's talk. Then you listen." So I did. I stepped inside, cleared my throat. "Hey, I'm Vic. I've been the guy who couldn't afford lunch, who got laughed out of job interviews, who sat on the bus praying the heater worked. I don't have magic words, but I've got time. And I'm listening." They stared at me, wary. Then the boy looked up and said, "You ever eat cold ravioli out of the can 'cause the stove didn't work?" I nodded. "With a plastic spoon. Fork broke." His mouth twitched. A smile, barely. And just like that, I was in. By the 3rd week, I had a rhythm. Lily was thriving in her new school. She'd made 2 best friends and proudly announced that cafeteria chicken nuggets now came with actual sauce options. I had my own office now. Okay, a converted storage room with a window the size of a pizza box, but still, it had my name on the door, Victor Hayes, Outreach Coordinator. Celia would drop by most mornings with herbal tea and a tired smile. She didn't run the place from a throne. She was down in the weeds with us, meeting donors, talking to caseworkers, helping kids paint murals in the common room. She listened better than anyone I'd ever met. Spoke quietly, but never weakly. I kept waiting for the catch. You don't grow up like me and not get twitchy when life gets too good. The catch came one Thursday morning. A black SUV pulled into the parking lot. Tinted windows. Out-of-state plates. That kind of SUV never means birthday balloons. I was in the courtyard, tossing a football with one of the teens, when I saw Celia freeze by the front doors. Her whole body stiffened like someone had pressed pause on her breathing. 3 men stepped out. Suits. Smiles too polished. One had a Bluetooth earpiece. Another had a clipboard. The third, older, tall, with slick-back silver hair and a Rolex that probably cost more than my car. I didn't have to ask. I already knew. Her father. He didn't hug her. Didn't even shake her hand. Just said, "Celia, I'd like a word." The air shifted. The kids sensed it too. One of them muttered, "Who's the storm in the tie?" Celia turned to me. Her voice was flat. "Victor, could you take the kids inside?" I did, but not far. I waited just behind the glass door, arms folded, pretending to check my phone while my ears strained like antennas. "I told you not to come here," she said. "I had no choice," he replied. "You've made quite the media splash with your project." "This isn't a project. It's a place for kids to feel safe." "You're a Bradford, Celia," he said. "You don't belong in places like this." "Neither did Mom," she snapped. Silence. Then his voice again, cooler. "You've embarrassed the family. Your little disappearance." "It wasn't a disappearance. I ran." He scoffed. "From what?" "From you. That one hit like a brick." He stiffened. "I'm not coming back, Dad. Not to the board. Not to the penthouse. Not to pretending I'm someone I'm not." "This is your final warning, Celia," he said. "Stop this rebellion. Come home. Quietly. Before someone gets hurt." She didn't flinch. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm reminding you. There are rules to our world." "No," she said. "There are rules to yours. I'm not in it anymore." He leaned closer. "You think that man in there will protect you?" I pushed the door open and stepped out. "I don't think," I said. "I know." His eyes scanned me. Didn't say a word. Just turned, nodded to his goons, and walked off like he'd never been here. The SUV vanished down the road, kicking up dust behind tinted glass. Celia looked like she might crumble. I stepped beside her. "You okay?" She nodded, but her voice shook. "He's not used to being told no. Then maybe it's about time he learned." She looked at me, eyes glassy but steady. "You didn't have to step in like that." "I know," I said, "but I wanted to." She smiled, just barely. "Thank you." I didn't say anything else. We just stood there in the parking lot, the wind pushing her hair around her face, the distant hum of kids laughing behind us. For a moment, it felt like the world had paused again, but this time, not from fear. From something else. Connection. And it wasn't going away this time. The next few days felt heavier. The SUV never came back, but its shadow lingered. Celia tried to play it off, kept her voice cheerful in meetings, kept her planner full, but I noticed her looking over her shoulder more often. She never parked in the same spot twice. and she started triple-checking the locks. Still, she didn't bring it up, and I didn't push. Instead, we fell into this rhythm. She'd stop by my office in the mornings, sometimes with coffee, sometimes just to sit. Some days we barely spoke. Other days we talked about things that didn't feel like small talk at all. Her mom's laugh, my daughter's obsession with peanut butter, what it meant to be truly seen. One afternoon, I found her standing alone in the art room, staring at the mural the kids were painting. A stormy sky on one side, and a hand reaching up toward a patch of clear blue on the other. "I used to draw skies like that as a kid," she said. I leaned against the wall. "Storms? No. Clear parts," she whispered. "I was always chasing them." I didn't ask what she meant. I just said, "You ever catch one?" She turned to me. "Once. At a bus station. Over coffee." That silenced me. She walked closer. Close enough that I could smell that soft vanilla scent she always wore. Close enough that my heart thumped in my chest like it had something to prove. "You don't owe me anything," I said quietly. "I know," she said. "But what if I want to?" Now it was my turn to pause. Want to what? Trust someone. That one hit deeper than I expected. "Then maybe," I said, "we start small." So we did. We talked more. Shared lunches. On Friday, I caught her laughing at Lily's knock-knock joke like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. Saturday, she showed up at our place with board games and strawberry yogurt. Said she needed a break from Outlook calendars and tight-lipped donors. By Sunday evening, Lily was painting Celia's nails with glitter and calling her Miss C. And I was in trouble. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't just working a job. I wasn't just getting by. I was letting someone in. And that terrified me more than anything. That night, after Lily went to bed, Celia lingered at the door, her hand resting on the frame. "I used to think kindness came with strings," she said. "Even compliments felt like a setup." "Not everything's a transaction," I said. "I'm still learning that," she whispered. "But you make it feel possible." Then she kissed my cheek. Soft, quick, like a question she didn't want to hear answered just yet. She pulled back before I could speak. "Good night, Vic." And then she was gone. I stood there for a long time after the door shut, heart pounding, cheek burning, wondering how something so simple could feel like the beginning of everything. You ever feel it coming before it happens? Like how the air shifts before a storm breaks, still and sticky, like the sky's holding its breath. That's what Monday felt like. Celia didn't show up that morning. No texts, no calls. Her office door was shut, lights off, and no one had seen her since Friday. By noon, I was pacing. By 2, I was standing in front of her apartment building, buzzed in by the concierge who recognized me as the guy with the little girl and the loud laugh. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Then I heard it. Soft, slow footsteps. The door cracked open. Celia stood there, barefoot, eyes rimmed red, hair messy like she hadn't slept. She wore an oversized sweatshirt that swallowed her whole. "Vic," she whispered, like she hadn't expected anyone to come looking. "Jesus, see," I said, stepping forward. "Are you okay?" She hesitated, then opened the door wider. Her place was spotless, clinical almost. White walls, framed art, cold light from tall windows. But the way she sat on the edge of her couch told me something was broken. "I got a call," she said softly, "from my father's lawyer. A friendly warning that some board members are getting nervous, that they're considering freezing my assets if I don't demonstrate personal stability." She laughed bitterly, as if founding a youth shelter isn't stable enough. I sat beside her. "What does that mean, practically?" "It means they'll make it impossible for me to run the place. It means I'll be cut off. Legally, financially, publicly." She looked up at me. "It means they're trying to erase me, Vic." I reached for her hand. She flinched at first, then let me take it. "You're not alone anymore," I said. "They don't get to do that to you." She swallowed hard. I was fine being invisible, but now I'm not. Now I have people. You, Lily, this whole place. And that makes me vulnerable. "No," I said. "That makes you real." She didn't cry, exactly. Just sat there with her head on my shoulder for a while, breathing slow, like she was remembering how. I stayed until dark. We didn't talk about the kiss. We didn't talk about the future. But I knew, in that silence, something had changed. The next day, she showed up to Horizon Outreach in heels and a navy blazer, eyes clear, posture straight. She looked like a CEO again, only this time, one who wasn't hiding behind power. She gathered the staff. I'm being challenged, she said. Legally, financially, but I'm not backing down. Not this time. Everyone clapped. I didn't. I just watched her, feeling something I hadn't in a long time. Pride. And something else I wasn't ready to name. But the storm hadn't passed. Because that night, as I locked up the center, I found something on the windshield of my cab. A photo. Me, Celia, and Lily, at the park, smiling. No note. Just the photo. And I knew what it meant. They weren't just coming for her. Now they were coming for us. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the living room with a baseball bat across my lap and Lily asleep on the couch beside me. She always crawled there after nightmares. But that night, I didn't dare carry her back to bed. I needed to see her, to know she was real and safe in mine. The photo stayed on the kitchen table, mocking me. They knew where we were. They were watching, and they weren't subtle about it. The next morning, I showed it to Celia before the staff meeting. Her hands trembled as she turned it over. Nothing on the back, just that grainy shot of the three of us, like a warning wrapped in nostalgia. She closed her eyes. I should have known they'd go after you, too. You didn't do this, I said. But I was lying. Not to her, to myself. Because I knew from the moment I said yes to that job, to that coffee, to that kiss, my world was going to change. I just didn't think it would get dangerous. They're trying to scare me back into a box, she whispered. But they forget who built it. She looked up at me then, and I swear, something in her eyes had shifted, like steel had settled behind the glass. I'm not running anymore, Vic, she said. I nodded. Then neither am I. That night, I called in every favor I had. An old buddy who worked security, a friend at the precinct who owed me one. I even talked to a guy I hadn't spoken to since high school, now a tech head who helped me set up cameras and motion sensors around the outreach center in our apartment. I wasn't messing around. By the weekend, the cab was parked for good. I handed in my keys to the dispatcher and said, "Put someone else on nights. I got something more important to protect." I started walking Lily to school myself. Started watching every car that passed, memorizing plates. I checked in with the kids at the shelter twice as much. Made sure the doors were locked, the back gate fixed, the lights brighter. We were drawing lines. And one night, just after closing, Celia stood on the rooftop of the center with me. Cold wind in her hair, city lights humming below. She leaned on the rail beside me, quiet. Then, "You should have run." "Why?" I asked. She gave a sad smile. "Because I think they're going to come harder now. And it's not just my family. It's the ones behind the money. The ones who liked it better when I was silent and photogenic." I took her hand. "I'm not leaving," I said. "Not unless you ask me to." She didn't say anything, just stepped closer and rested her head against my chest. I felt her breath steady, felt the weight of her fear pressed against everything she was trying to become. Then, softly, "Promise me something. Anything. Don't let them scare you into being small." I looked down at her. "I've been small most of my life. I think I'm done with that." She smiled again. "For real, this time." We stood there, two people too stubborn to quit, wrapped in the kind of quiet you only get after the hardest days. But we both knew the worst wasn't over. It was only just getting started. They didn't knock this time. It was just past 3 a.m. when I woke up to the sound of shattering glass. I bolted upright. Lily was already standing in the hallway, blanket clutched to her chest, eyes wide. "Dad," she whispered. "Get in the bathroom," I said, grabbing her by the shoulders. "Now, lock the door. Don't open it unless it's me." She didn't argue, just ran. I reached under the couch, grabbed the tire iron I'd left there 3 nights ago, and crept toward the living room. The window was busted. Glass everywhere. My front door still locked, but the shadow moving past the curtain said enough. Someone was inside. "Vic." Celia's voice, low, panicked, came from behind me. She'd stayed late at the outreach center that night, crashed on the couch like she'd done a dozen times since the photo appeared. I hadn't expected her to follow me home after our rooftop talk, but she had. Thank God. "Stay back," I whispered. A figure stepped into the room. Hooded, slow, confident, like he wasn't worried who might be waiting. "Victor Hayes," the man said. Smooth, too calm. I didn't answer. I was hoping we could talk. I moved into the light. He was maybe 50. Expensive coat, leather gloves, no weapon that I could see, but his presence felt heavy, controlled, like he was the kind of guy who never had to raise his voice to ruin a life. "You broke into my home," I said. He smiled. "I knocked. You just didn't hear it." I tightened my grip on the iron. You've got 5 seconds to leave before I stop being polite. Do you know what Miss Bradford's been sitting on? He said, ignoring me. She's not just some trust fund rebel. She has documents, names, signatures, records of things people like me have paid a lot of money to bury. She's not giving you anything. You misunderstand, he said, stepping closer. We're not asking. We're warning. I lunged. Tire iron swung, heavy and fast. He ducked back, but not fast enough. Caught a glancing blow to the shoulder. Staggered. Swore. And then bolted for the window he came through. I chased him to the fire escape, but he was gone before I could get down 3 steps. Vanished into the alley, into the city, into whatever hell he crawled out from. When I turned back, Celia was on the floor, trying to calm Lily, who had burst out of the bathroom crying. I shut the window with trembling hands. Locked the door. Called the cops. They took the report. No fingerprints. No prints on the fire escape. No witnesses. Just another incident. But it wasn't. This was war. We stayed in a hotel that night. A quiet place with no name and no online listings. A favor from an old contact at the outreach center. Celia didn't speak much. She held Lily close, rocking her slowly until her breathing slowed. And me? I just sat at the edge of the bed and stared at the tire iron in my hands, trying to convince myself this was still fixable. The next morning, Celia finally said it. We can't stay in Cleveland. I turned to her. You mean leave? She nodded. We'll disappear. There are places I can go, people I can talk to. But you and Lily. No. Vic. No. I said louder this time. You don't get to vanish again. Not after everything. She looked at me, her face pale, her voice cracking. I won't let you lose your daughter over me. I stepped closer. I'd rather raise her in the middle of a storm with you than let her think the world wins by making good people disappear. She stared at me a long time. Then, if we do this, there's no going back. I know. Her hand found mine. We're going to need help, she said. I know someone, I said. An old friend. Owes me his life. He knows how to leak things. Real things. Safely. She swallowed. Then let's make it public. We left Cleveland that night. No goodbyes. No fanfare. Just me, Celia, and Lily packed into my old Crown Vic. The same cab she first climbed into, soaked and barefoot. It felt full circle in a way that scared me. We drove west, headlights slicing through the dark. No music, just the hum of the engine and Lily sleeping in the back seat. I didn't ask Celia what was on that flash drive she clutched like a holy relic. I didn't need to. Whatever it was, it scared powerful people. That was enough for me. We reached Chicago by morning, holed up in a basement apartment owned by my old army buddy, Marcus. Retired cyber forensics guy. Quiet. Sharp. Paranoid in the useful way. He didn't ask many questions. Just looked at Celia, then at me, and said, So, we're doing this? We are, I said. He booted up his fortress of a desktop, for monitors blazing with encrypted feeds. You have the documents? Celia handed him the drive. He plugged it in without ceremony. His eyes widened after the first few folders. Sweet hell, he muttered. This isn't just surveillance. This is full-blown manipulation. You've got signatures, photos, internal memos. These people bought influence. Judges, senators, tech giants. They created pipelines to track journalists, activists, even students. He looked up. Do you realize what this is? Celia nodded. Evidence. He leaned back. More than that. This is leverage. This could break everything. We worked through the night. Marcus scrubbed metadata, watermarked the files, created copies, set upload failsafes. Every 20 minutes, Celia checked Lily's room, making sure she was still asleep. I sat beside her on the floor once, and she whispered, If we're caught, I want you to take Lily and go. I'm not running. You might have to. I won't. She didn't argue. She just put her head on my shoulder and whispered, Then let's make this count. By dawn, the plan was ready. A live broadcast, not through a news network, but streamed directly to whistleblower channels, public forums, and encrypted platforms all at once. No editing, no spin, just Celia, on camera, with truth as her only armor. She wore jeans and a black t-shirt. No makeup, hair tied back, just her. Marcus set up the camera. You ready? I asked. No, she said, but I'm doing it anyway. I kissed her forehead. Then I'm right here. The red light blinked on. Celia looked straight into the lens. My name is Celia Bradford, and I've been silent long enough. And she told them everything. She talked about her family, about the hidden surveillance systems, the bribes, the threats, the time she ran, the moment she stopped. She named names, showed documents, played voicemails, and then she said something that stopped me cold. I wouldn't be alive if not for a man who gave me a ride in the rain and never asked me for anything, except my name. She paused. He believed in kindness, in second chances, in truth. So this is for him, and for my mother, and for every kid who's ever been told to sit down and stay quiet. The video cut. Marcus hit upload. 20 seconds later, it was live on over 400 sites. Mirrored, shared, downloaded. Unstoppable. We sat in silence. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. He showed us the screen. Trending number 1. Who is Celia Bradford? Breaking. Leaked documents shake political foundations. Top executives resign after late-night whistleblower drop. It had begun. The fallout came fast. News vans outside the building within hours. Half the people we named had already lawyered up. The other half disappeared. And then, right when I thought maybe we'd made it out clean, the SUV showed up again. This time, there were 4 men. Black coats, earpieces, guns. They didn't knock. They kicked in the front door. They came through the door like shadows with teeth. Boots crashing, guns drawn. No warning, no words. I barely had time to push Celia and Lily behind the kitchen counter before the first shot cracked the air. Marcus slammed a steel door shut between his server room and the rest of the apartment. "Get out the back," he shouted. "I'll stall him." "Marcus, go." I grabbed Lily. Celia grabbed the drive. We sprinted through the narrow hallway toward the rear exit, a hidden door behind a shelf that led to a service tunnel. But one of the men caught up. I turned just in time to catch a fist to the ribs, knocking the wind clean out of me. Lily screamed. Before the guy could strike again, Celia stepped in and slammed a fire extinguisher across his face. He dropped like a stone. She stared at the canister in her hands, panting. I've been waiting 3 years to do that to someone. We didn't stop. We burst into the alley behind the building. Lily clung to me, sobbing. Celia ran like her legs were on fire. We didn't know where we were going. Just away. Behind us, sirens howled. Not police. Fire. Marcus had pulled the emergency tripwire. The entire building's sprinkler system went off. The sprinkler alarm triggered the fire department. They were already on their way. And with them, the news crews. Because Marcus, beautiful, paranoid, genius Marcus, had scheduled our upload to trigger a second wave once violence was detected near the IP address. The moment the cameras saw men with weapons storming a whistleblower's safe house, it was over. The media came like a flood. Police arrived, FBI agents, even suits from DC. The attackers scattered. Some were arrested on the spot. Others vanished into alleys they'd crawled out of. But we made it. The headlines exploded. Whistleblower Celia Bradford survives assassination attempt. FBI investigates corporate black ops unit tied to political donors. Single father key to breaking multi-billion-dollar surveillance ring. I read that last one while sitting in a hospital room holding Lily's hand. She had a bruise on her leg, but she was okay. Brave. Too brave for 8 years old. Celia sat on the windowsill, bathed in morning light, looking out at a world that finally believed her. "I don't know what comes next," she said softly. "Probably chaos," I said. "Lawyers, trials, more headlines." And after that, I shrugged. Something better. 3 months later, I found myself on a quiet stage at a school auditorium, watching Lily receive a scholarship certificate from a nonprofit called Clear Skies Foundation. It was Celia's new project. She stood on that stage, head high, smile soft. She hadn't gone back to the world of boardrooms and ballrooms. She was building something real now, grants for shelters, protections for whistleblowers, homes for kids like the ones we used to help. After the ceremony, she walked over, hugged Lily, then looked at me. "You still drive that old cab?" "Nope," I said. "Sold it." "Good," she said. "You weren't meant to be behind the wheel forever." "I like this seat better," I replied, taking her hand. We stood there, surrounded by clapping parents and folding chairs, and I realized something. This wasn't just the end of our story. It was the beginning of something honest, something earned. They never found the man in the coat, but the truth we shared lived on. Every time someone stood up, spoke out, or chose to help a stranger without expecting anything back, that was the real win. And as for me, well, I still believe in the long game. But now, I get to play it with someone beside me. And we're not running anymore. Thank you for watching the video to the end. If you liked it, please like it, leave a comment below the video, and subscribe so you don't miss more impressive and interesting stories from people's lives.